For 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to our witnesses who have joined us here today for your important testimony and also your efforts to fight crime, to fight violent crime, and your work to ensure that those who live and visit our nation's capital can do so in a way that is safe. I would also like to discuss today a program with the Capitol Police, Chief Manger, the Special Assistant United States Attorney Program, and how that is a program that you are utilizing to actually help ensure that you are keeping members of Congress, other government officials, and the public safe. Would you please describe for us the Special Assistant United States Attorney, or SALSA, program that you are using in field offices in Tampa, Sacramento, and D.C.?
So these, DOJ has provided us with the authorization to have these SALSAs to prosecute cases nationwide and to assist in prosecuting threats against involving members of Congress. The Department of Justice has also designated our SALSAs as subject matter experts on threats cases. We've had great success with them. Our SALSA in Tampa has worked multiple cases in the Middle District of Florida, leading to guilty pleas and threat cases involving a threat against a member of Congress, other federal officials, and in one case, a threat against a Supreme Court justice. We've had, again, great success. The SALSA in D.C., their primary portfolio includes managing the threat portal for U.S. Attorney's Office and the District of Columbia. A number of cases involving members of Congress as victims, congressional staff members as victims, or crimes that occurred on Capitol grounds. We have our own prosecutor that makes sure those cases go forward.
Do you foresee, or would you hope to see, an expansion of the SALSA program into additional cities across America?
I think as the workload it presents itself, that it's a very efficient way for us to handle a lot of these cases, so that not every investigator, not every attorney is flying out from D.C. We've got folks around the country that can be on the scene working these cases.
And could you describe, I believe the SALSAs also provide training to case agents and investigators within the threat assessment section. Could you describe for us that section and how the SALSAs are working to help train case agents and investigators?
They are the subject matter experts on threat cases. And we get, and as everybody here knows, you get threats and concerning calls and directions of interest that are very concerning. And these attorneys train our officers to know when it crosses that line from being just free speech or being just something concerning to something that is a criminal threat.
And in your assessment, has the program as implemented thus far been successful in addressing some of the rise in threats against members in Congress?
Absolutely. We have better success in terms of prosecution now than we did before we had this program.
And can you tell us why you think that changed, why that better rate of success is happening?
I think it's because this is their primary job. You know, prior to this, we were competing with attorneys that had a huge caseload, and you know, sometimes they just looked at our case and said, okay, you know, not sure this is going to rise to the level of being a priority for, you know, for me, because I'm prosecuting much more serious cases. This way, we have folks that their priority is working threats against members of Congress.
Thank you, Chief. And Mr. Mangual, last fall, the Committee on House Administration held a briefing for members and staff regarding the rise in crime in Washington, D.C. It included safety tips and advice for how best to protect oneself against carjackings and the proliferation of other things like assaults and robberies that we've been seeing here in the district. Would you like to provide any additional insight or advice on how residents or visitors to our nation's capital can protect themselves from these types of violent crimes?
So unfortunately, I can't say that I have any expertise in terms of giving advice on personal security, but the one piece of advice that I would give residents is to urge their policymakers and their representatives in the D.C. Council and in Congress to push harder on anti-crime measures. As I mentioned in my testimony, it's very, very clear that the criminal justice system's capability of dealing with repeat offenders has been eroded. And it's been eroded for quite some time, and that's why you see the most heinous crimes consistently committed by people who have 10, 15, 20, 30 prior arrests. To my mind, one of the most effective uses of time that citizens can make with respect to this issue is putting pressure on their elected officials to make some changes and stop that problem where it is.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.